Those films that we just showed you clips of all have a lot in common. They're all considered guys' movies. They all helped cement their stars as action film legends. And now they're on the NRA's list of coolest gun movies. Here are the others: Red Dawn, The Alamo, The Godfather, Zombieland, The Delta Force, The Road Warrior, and Tremors. A couple of points that this makes me think of. The first one is, just after Newtown and Sandy Hook, we heard Wayne LaPierre saying, boy, Hollywood is just as much responsible for this gun culture that we have as guns are. And now they're celebrating guns in the same breath?
You know, it's interesting. Wayne LaPierre, I think, really should adopt the message of protecting people's rights and protecting people. I think this whole message of talking about Hollywood, people don't want to hear that when, you know, you have a tragedy like Aurora or like Newton. And also, I think he's got a major responsibility because he is the voice of the gun control movement. And I think he has to be very careful on how he says it and when he says it. I think the timing may not necessarily be right to make a statement like that.
And the glorification of guns consistently by the NRA is part of the problem here, and they can't run away from that. Whether it's fighting for the right to have assault weapons or glorifying how they're portrayed on movies or in TV. It's a problem when you think it's some moral right for someone to have an automatic weapon in this country. That's not what the forefathers envisioned when they gave us the Second Amendment. They envisioned single-shot muskets. I'm all for letting everybody have a single-shot musket.
I was trying to figure out how many shots registered just in the 40 seconds of clips that we played. It was like 100, it was more like 100 shots.
I was up to 168 actually.
Really? Mm-hmm. Really? I think 167, but we're splitting here. The other thing is the characters in these movies. I mean, John McClane, who's a cop, but all of a sudden he can't miss these terrorists in there. It's, you know, you get the Matrix where they seem to hit everything that they're shooting at all the time. It's, to me, not only does it glorify guns, but it also creates a fake image of people using guns.
But you didn't get the memo. I mean, if it wasn't so sad, it would be funny. You know, according to Mr. LaPierre, what's the character from Die Hard? The movie?
John McClane.
John McClane. John McClane should be in every school, and when there's something like that, a John McClane character disguised as a teacher opens their shirt with the S on their chest, and they're able to wound the gunman.
You know, it really shows a false portrayal of, Andrew? It shows a false portrayal of the effects of those weapons.
Right, right.
And
that's what you don't
But it really is sad.
see.
It's not funny. It really is sad.
You don't see the gore. That's what's really sanitized by Hollywood.
Those clips in those movies also, by the way, completely minimize the effectiveness of law enforcement. I mean, that's, all of these guys need those guns because, I mean, the Terminator's actually shooting cops in there, but, you know, in all these movies, it's the cops can't do anything except for our hero who can do everything.
Well, isn't that the message of the NRA and Mr. LaPierre? With the teachers, he wants the teachers to keep their guns in Utah. I mean, they go to their locker and get their gun, and John McClane it is.
So you have
male or
a
female.
book locker and a gun locker. All right, everyone wants to be the next lottery winner, right? The big time numbers, you get millions of dollars, you get to upgrade your lifestyle, but there's one problem. Everybody knows who you are. Well, the New Jersey Assembly passing a bill that would empower the state treasurer to study whether lottery winners should be allowed to remain anonymous. The Assembly passed a bill in March that actually lowered or eliminated lottery anonymity, easy for me to say. Governor Christie vetoed it, saying the lottery needs transparency for players to have faith in it. That strikes me as being a valid point, but at the same time, shouldn't lottery winners be able to remain anonymous? Do you have to go public?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you this, I actually know very well the state treasurer. He's a very smart guy, and I think what's interesting is people should have the right to want to be known or not to want to be known. I think there was a statement by the governor that talked about transparency. But if I won $300 million, I don't want anybody knowing that I won that money. And so I think it's important that a person should have that discretion and that personal discretion to say, I want to be known, or to say, you know what, I don't think I want to be known, let me take the money and run.
And I would argue that there's absolutely no presumption of privacy when you're playing a public lottery with public funds administered by the government and you just won $300 million. You know, you can't take the heat and play some other game.
Okay, well, why can't I just have that problem of winning the $300 million? You know, I'll deal with the public and the private start. You know, once I win the money, how much, Andrew, do I have to give you? If 300 million, how much?
You gotta give me 2 million.
10%
I gotta
would
give
be
you two?
fine.
Yeah, give me
These
2
are the
million.
definition of
How
champagne
much?
problems.
I gotta hire you. How much is that gonna cost me?
I give you a cut rate at that point.
Okay, and how much I gotta
You're
give
going to
you?
hire Scott. What office are you running for? Is that?
No, I'm not
You gotta
running for
run.
office.
Just
Just
run. You
right.
gotta run.
And then we gotta
Running
pay,
is extra.
and then we gotta pay audio, Amy, and Ralph, the director. How much are we gonna be left with? Ebony and Ivory.
You're going to have
Ebony and
23
Ivory,
cents.
brother. Me and
You're
you.
going to have about 23 cents.
Uncle
when it's
Sam
all
will
done.
take about half, and we left with about
So-
160 million.
That's fine.
Just.
Can we share a mansion together?
You can figure something out.
You-
Absolutely.
You think
If
so?
that, if that comes to
something out.
pass. You're
Okay.
welcome on my mansion
But what if
anytime,
you
though.
win? Am I still included if you win?
Well, I'm sorry, who are you
Yeah,
again?
exactly.
Spell that name.
Final topic. Eric Garcetti will be the next mayor of Los Angeles. Garcetti became the first Jewish person ever elected mayor of LA last night, beating out Wendy Gruhl, who was seeking to become the first woman ever elected in the city of Los Angeles. If you didn't realize LA was having its mayoral election last night, neither did the people of LA. Turnout was a miserable 23%. Here in our region, we got some major elections this November. Governor and the state house races in New Jersey, the big battle for mayor of New York City. We also got county executive races in Nassau and Westchester counties. Yeah, they're all in November, but they're in an off year, likely leading to low turnout, which begs the question, why do we have important elections in off years in this area? Why New York City mayor? Why governor of New Jersey and state offices?
I mean, your show, your questions, but if you really want to increase turnout, deal with early voting, deal with same-day voter registration,
You
deal
could
with
also
voter
do
by
it at
mail.
a year when there's a presidential race or a Senate race or House
The goal
races.
is not necessarily to increase turnout. The goal is to protect incumbents.
Exactly.
That's the bottom
And that is
line.
the problem, and that is the issue.
Well, I did a little research on this. New York City elections have been off cycle on these off years since the 1890s. Progressive era activists argued that having local elections at the same time as presidential elections gave too much power to the presidential and the national
Was
and the
that
national
Tammany
races.
Hall or Boss Tweed? Which
This
one?
was 1890s. This was.
It's actually true.
You really think so?
There's no doubt about
Yep.
in a high turnout race, lower down the ticket candidates have less ability to affect their situation.
That's right.
But you would have. I mean, 23% of the people in a city picking who the
Vote
next
by
mayor is.
mail, same-day registration. And the studies are all there, Andrew. We know what it takes to increase turnout.
And then not only that, if we're talking about the city of Los Angeles, there's a big population that does not read English, and I think we have to look at that in terms of the minority vote. How many of those individuals actually read and know and understand English? And obviously, how much of the outreach actually happened in this mayor's race? And I know actually the candidate Wendy Gruhl, and I know she was very active, and most folks from LA didn't know who she was.
Here's a crazy idea. Why do we have to register to vote? Why not have universal enfranchisement? Where
Well, because
people
the-
have a driver's
Well,
license
because then you'd have,
or an ID.
but then you'd have people who are coming in from out of state,
You
let's
have
say,
a
to pack the ballot.
license.
So it,
You have a license or a state ID to vote. Why do you need to register to vote? It's only a way of keeping people from voting, Andrew.
let me get back to my initial question. Dominic, help me out. Why are we still doing off-year elections in New York?
My only answer, Andrew, is that I agree with what's been said. It's to protect the incumbent. If you're the mayor, do you really care if it's only 23% turnout, if that's your base?
If I'm the mayor?
Right.
Wait, who are you again?
I'm angry with you, man. I'm angry because we're not sharing that 300 million if you win. If I win, we share, and if you win, we don't share. I'm only kidding.
It's just a hypothetical, but no.
No?
You know, if you're counting on Bloomberg numbers, you still don't have enough to run for mayor.
300 million, not remotely enough to. All right, I tell you what, we're going to take a break. We'll wrap up things on this edition of RFL right after this. Stay with us. Dominic and I are going to patch.